Okay, looks like we got Jacob and Worker B and Kevin. I think we were going to have a couple of the front end team come up at some point, and maybe Daniel. He has been great at putting together our docs site. He's got a lot of insight there. Worker, Jacob, Kevin, how you guys doing?
Doing good, and you?
Doing well. I'm still getting over a sickness, but
Jeez. A lot of that going around, unfortunately.
yeah, it just keeps coming too.
Hey, what's up? How's it going, everybody?
It's going good.
Oh man, what a day! What a day in osmosis.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Today feels like a good day for me.
What are the highlights, in your opinion?
I mean, I personally want to hear Sonny's notes. I feel like those are going to be some of the highlights, but I guess I should say it's been a kind of crazy 24 hours in crypto Twitter. I would say osmosis itself. There's a new token that was listed that I'd never seen before called Dark or Constellation.
Actually, I just got a message about that.
Oh, yeah.
Seems to be pretty common. Is like every other day a new token pops up. Never heard of it. Never seen it.
Yep, and I saw something from Cosmos Haas that said it was like a pool of, I want to say it was USDC, DAI, and something else that was in the works. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I think Gravity sent over some tokens.
Yeah,
the Trump, right? That one looks very neat, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
they against each other.
Yeah, Jacob, you would know, right? You do a lot of IBC stuff.
Well, yeah. With Constellation, actually, we did the integration, and guys, in fact, the most interesting chart right now, in my opinion, is not the price. My opinion, the most interesting chart, the most violently upward chart I've ever seen, is IBC transactions. It's incredible.
It's a really good point. I saw something about Stargaze having the most. Was it the most IBC transfers of? I don't know, of late. That was like of a single chain, something of that sort. Has anyone seen that? It's got to be confirmed.
But I'm pulling up the map of zones right now to see.
Can confirm it's gone up dramatically. That's certain. Another big grower has been JUNO, but in aggregate, the traffic is just up and away.
Yeah.
JUNO's huge.
IBC traffic per day, because of course IBC traffic or would always be up there, but it's cumulative.
Is everybody here full robot?
Yes, Sonny, you sound kind of breaking up a little bit.
Hello?
Shake those West Coast cobwebs off. It's so early there.
That's better, Sonny.
Oh, this is better.
Way better.
Okay,
definitely.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. I hope even IBC transactions per day, because I'm sure, of course, IBC transactions total will always be up and down, right?
You know what? You're still kind of breaking up for me.
Yeah, a little bit. But you were saying that IBC transactions total are up and to the right. That's what you were saying?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the chart here.
That's a green candle for IBC.
Osmosis has 3 million transfers just this month, or in the last month.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's hardcore. And 137,000 in the last 24 hours, which is like, I don't know, close to 3 times as many as the Cosmos Hub. It's a lot. Yeah, so I think that was a very good call, Jacob. That IBC is popping.
So, Sonny, do you want to deliver some updates or?
Go ahead and jump in. So let's see. What are some interesting updates? So one cool thing is what I just mentioned, JUNO is like
Hey, Sonny,
taking off.
You're super
Mm-hmm.
hard to hear for some. You're really tough to hear for some reason. Is there any way you could like walk to another area, or we might have to do a?
Yeah, can someone else take over for a couple minutes while I reload?
Oh,
Yeah, Jacob.
absolutely. So we were going to actually start this off with Sunny kind of, delivering the weekly updates, but it put together, a couple of things that we could talk about. A couple of them were questions for Sunny. So I'm actually going to jump kind of toward the end and talk about the APOC time, because that's been like super interesting. So I imagine that many users have noticed the APOC time has gotten much faster recently. And basically, that came down to, um, an interesting systems problem. So there's the IAVL library. That's like how a Tendermint chain stores things in its database. And that was posing a blocker. And a while back, we kind of collectively discovered that it was possible to kind of cheat the APOC a bit by state syncing your node. So there's that. And then even more recently, I've got to confirm that the new branch actually created by a new developer, I don't know who they are, that reduced Notional's APOC time down to about 22 seconds
Whoa,
yesterday.
that is quick.
Yeah, really is.
Just for reference, what's the typical APOC time?
Well, it had gotten as high as 30 minutes. I would say
Holy cow. Wow. That's a massive acceleration. Congratulations, Jacob.
Yeah, last I heard it was going about 2 minutes to 15 minutes on average. So 2 seconds is just insane.
You said 22.
22. But yeah, still, it was a massive increase. And we're playing around with getting even faster hard drives. I've ordered an Intel P5800X. It's supposed to be the creme de la creme of fast storage. And, hoping to be able to possibly release a combined hardware and software solution that more or less eliminates the APOC lag. So that's been something that's been kind of cooking for maybe the past 3 weeks, I guess. And alongside of that is also sort of some of the discoveries that led to the ability to do that actually came out of relaying. The relayer process fires so many transactions into Osmosis that it can actually cause the chain to stop synchronizing. And so that just led to a lot of looking into different performance enhancements.
Jacob, so can you talk a little bit about how relaying plays into the APOC congestion?
Yeah, so relaying does not play directly into the APOC. Okay, what relaying, the way that these two things connected is that both of them faced a significant performance bottleneck. So in order to do relaying effectively, we at Notional just started looking into, okay, how can we make these nodes go faster? We found that it could be quite helpful to state sync them, because that was actually increasing the query capacity. Like, how often can you ask the Osmosis software for information? And how much information can you ask it for when you do that? Now, all of this has to kind of do with the read-write capacity of the node. And Kevin, that's where the two connect. So when optimizing nodes for relaying, what we learned is that we were also optimizing nodes to have short epoch times.
Nice.
Yeah,
Two birds, one stone.
absolutely. Yes. And then, this is probably one of the larger issues that's being addressed, actually, to my knowledge, by a number of teams all across Cosmos, actually.
Right. I think Dave was saying that you were working with Joe Abbey on this.
Yeah, Joe's been incredible. What Joe did is he took like suspicions of mine and was able to visualize them, and he's been producing those really nice plots of how quickly different validators finish the epoch block.
Okay. And he said something else was done by, I guess, Marco and Ethereal. Are those folks that you work with, or so there's someone named Roman? These are all people I don't know.
That is a really great question. Okay, so Ethereal, that he's part of the Strangelove Ventures team, and Marco is part of the Cosmos SDK team. And the answer to your question, Kevin, is yes, but not directly. Like, all of us who are working on the Cosmos software and infrastructure very much do work together. The engineering community is most certainly a community. But those particular optimizations are not like ones that we directly created, but we're certainly all talking and working to make the software work faster.
That's very cool that y'all are able to kind of, even though it's not a direct collaboration, adjust your parts, I guess, of the work so that you can create something that's greater than the sum of its parts, so to speak. It's pretty amazing how that. I guess that is decentralization in the engineering side.
Absolutely, and really, I think that Cosmos and Tendermint overall are like some of the healthiest open source projects out there in terms of the distribution of developers all across the ecosystem. Sonny, are you back, sir?
Can you guys hear me properly?
Very clear.
Yeah,
No more robot.
much better.
Amazing. Awesome. Yeah, the Jacob was talking about a bunch of the epoch stuff, and just yeah, like you mentioned, I think the improvements that are being done to epoch are just important in general, because they're going to impact like everything. It's more just performance of the chain, and where the biggest performance bottlenecks were found was in the epoch, but it's gonna have a good impact on everything, because one of the main bottlenecks right now in the Cosmos SDK was the IAVL tree, which is what was like sort of solved here, or improved and fixed here. So yeah, so and another one, keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, the epoch will be sort of like fixed, not in this next upgrade, but in the following one, where we're gonna switch to a distribution system more similar to how staking works. We call it the F1 distribution, which I think Kevin, you and I talked about last time. Can people still hear me? Can someone just give me?
Yeah, I hear the crow in the background too.
Cool. Yeah, so so that should be fixed, where the issue is you're not gonna the rewards are not gonna show up automatically in your account anymore. You're gonna have to, like, once a day, go and withdraw them manually. but it will, at least make it so the epoch, there's no downtime of the chain, and so trading doesn't get halted, which is nice. Yeah. So I'll just go jump back into some of the updates that I had. So one, I think who was it? Jacob mentioned earlier about JUNO just really taking off. So just wanted to congratulate them on like the massive adoption. And one really cool thing is I think we tweeted last week saying that Osmo is the only non-stable coin in the top 100 by market cap who is not listed on any centralized exchange, or whose biggest market is not a centralized exchange. That is not true anymore because now JUNO is also in that, but that means that the only two tokens in the top 100 not whose biggest market is not a centralized exchange are both their biggest markets are on Osmosis. So that's really cool to see that, like um, we've always said that Osmosis is like our goal has always been to compete with centralized exchanges, and so I think we're starting to live up to it. Where I'm hoping by by end of the year that should that number should be much higher than just two. Yeah, so how do we improve this where we get more and more tokens to have their big primary markets be on dexes over centralized exchanges? So that's cool. The other, some other stuff on the chain development side of things is, CosmWasm was merged in, so that should be basically ready to go for the next upgrade, whenever it is. Superfluid staking, the testing and everything is going. The main developer who Eugen, who works on Superfluid staking, he has COVID right now, so now I am slightly worried about my end of February bet because of that. But we're gonna do our best and see what can be done.
You might play straight ball.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I did it over COVID actually already. I don't think it looked great, but maybe I need a better hairstylist for my bald head.
Yeah, COVID's coming for your hair.
Yeah.
Have you considered a tattoo like while you don't have hair?
Sorry, what?
Oh, have you considered getting a tattoo on your head? I
That
hear
is,
there's some precedent for such claims.
so sorry. What? Jay never got a tattoo on his head, but he did get a Tenderman tattoo. It's on his arm. And yeah, I feel like if I get a tattoo, the only thing I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to get a Bitcoin tattoo. I think that's the only thing in the world I'd probably like even open to getting a tattoo for. I don't think there's I don't even think I'd get an Osmosis tattoo. I think I'd only get a Bitcoin tattoo. Sorry.
How early were you involved in Bitcoin?
Not that early. Like maybe like 2015 or something.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I just find that this is like I don't know. I think there's this cool, you know, religious, almost religious aspect to Bitcoin that I don't think any other, crypto community has managed to replicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, okay, let's see. Going back to the code. Yeah, so front end, the refactor is going along pretty well. Oh, I guess one big thing is, as people may have seen, the NETA token was added to Osmosis earlier this week. But it actually is sort of just the first of a brand new market for Osmosis as a whole, which is it is sort of going to be the first CW20 asset that was added to Osmosis. So with the so one thing maybe that is worth clarifying that there was a little bit of confusion for a lot of people was, CosmWasm on Osmosis is separate than getting CW20 assets on Osmosis. So CosmWasm Osmosis is what will enable new contracts and applications to be deployed directly onto Osmosis. The CW20 CWICS20 is basically we can take CosmWasm tokens on other chains and bring them over onto Osmosis. And when they show up on Osmosis, they actually end up looking the same as a normal token. When they come over IBC, they still end up looking like we call them SDK coins on Osmosis. But it's we have to basically on the other side, it's not sending an SDK coin; it's sending the CW20 token, and we have to write basically these custom adapt. It's sort of this whole custom integration that's needed. And so we were able to do it first with JUNO because they're sort of the first CosmWasm chain that has IBC connected to their CosmWasm system. But this is going to open up to obviously as more JUNO tokens launch, but also things like Terra, right? So in Terra we have all sorts of assets that are built on their ecosystem, but we haven't been able to bring them over yet because they're all CW20 assets rather than native assets. And so we had already we talked to a lot of the folks on the Terra development team and stuff, and they were pretty open to adding IBC to their CosmWasm contracts. They just wanted to not be the first to jump into that. So now that we can show that hey, look, this is working on between JUNO and Osmosis, and it's functioning safely and all this, then we can now go to the Terra team and be like, hey, okay, we can we do a software upgrade to add IBC to your CosmWasm as well. So then we can start bringing over the CW20 assets from Terra. So that's a pretty cool that so the whole NETA inclusion in Osmosis is sort of the first step in that showing that that this proof of concept of IBC with CosmWasm actually works. Yeah.
That's pretty massive.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a quick question about the CW20s.
Yep.
So if JUNO's making a CW20 token, like NETA, for example, is that able to share the relayer for JUNO, or do these contracts need their own individual relayers?
I believe maybe Jacob, or I thought Jack was up here for a hot second.
He was for a minute, yeah, and is no longer. But so the answer to that is a little bit of both. They don't share the same channel, but you can the same node and the same relay software. What Sonny was talking about, on the foreign chain, right? So on JUNO, that particular the NETA asset, it's coming in as a CW asset, but it talks to the transfer port of IBC on Osmosis. That's also why it ends up, looking like the same exact thing as any other asset that's listed on Osmosis. So yes, same relayer, yes, same nodes, but no, it's a different channel.
So that means that a relayer that wants to relay CW20 assets has to update their config to also be looking for this new channel, relaying the old channel for native token and the new channel for CW20 tokens.
Cool.
Yep.
And Jacob, does all the relayer software currently support that? I know Jack had been doing a lot of work to get the Golang Go relayer to support it. Do you know if that's the only one right now, or other relayer softwares also support it?
So we're using Hermes for that. Now, I think that the features for that were just merged in the last version. And then even more interestingly, and I put out a tweet about this the other day, internally, our team has been using the TypeScript relayer increasingly. And I don't actually have full clarity as to what the advantages are, but I know that when we make a channel, it's TypeScript these days.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. that's awesome to know that the TypeScript relayer is like, actually usable, because the TypeScript relayer is, I think, the end goal of all of this, where the relayer will one day just go into like the Kepler wallet and users can start relaying their own packets. So that's really cool that that the TypeScript relayer is still working, because I feel it always got a little bit less love than the other two. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see. Other, and then with the whole CW20 stuff, I think there's a lot of new stuff that also needs to be figured out. Right? Like there's a new we have to figure out how to add them to asset lists, and just how to discovery around new CW20 tokens. Also, just because launching an SDK, a Cosmos SDK chain, had a reasonably high barrier to entry on how difficult it is to do. That most of the tokens that are launched on SDK coins are fairly legitimate, or at least in the sense that they're not just some random coin that people just made for fun and will drop after 5 minutes. But with CosmWasm, it's much easier to, there's I think on JUNO, there's already these token factories, which allow people to just mint coins willy nilly. And that, which is cool, but that does lead to an issue of okay, what kind of stuff do we start showing in the Osmosis front end? And how do we, yeah. So, I already noticed that there's a bunch of coins that I've never even heard of are already sort of on something like JunoSwap. There's this Hulk coin, and there's Tuck, which is this old Cosmos joke coin from before launch, but funny to
Oh,
see that
okay.
it actually launched. Oh, what was that?
I was wondering what that tuck was about.
The Tuck was about there was, before the Cosmos Hub launched, or maybe right after the Cosmos Hub launched, there was this troll in the Telegram chats that was oh, the Cosmos Hub distribution is too centralized, something something. I'm gonna fork the Cosmos Hub, and we're gonna combine the best aspects of Cosmos and Polkadot, and we're gonna make this new thing called Tuckermint. And he was basically just trolling, I think. But he had this Google form that you filled out to say, hey, I want to get some tokens. And then he launched the tokens on as an ERC20 on Ethereum, and then no one heard from him for 2.5 years. And then suddenly, apparently, they launched Tuckermint as a token on JUNO. I wonder if they transferred over the balances from the ERC20 version, because if so, then I might have some Tuckermint tokens. But yeah, so Tuckermint is just this I thought it was gonna be this just random, really funny, weird story that the OGs of the Cosmos Telegram groups will remember. But it's interesting to see that it resurfaced once again.
Coming
Yeah.
back for a day in the light.
Yeah, so that's the story of Tuckermint. I don't know if it's a real thing or not, but we'll see. But yeah, so we just have to figure out better processes of how to decide which token, and I guess governance also just needs to be a little bit more. Up until now, governance has usually approved the incentives proposals for every token for a chain that's come, or maybe I don't know, I think maybe we rejected one or two. But I think just going forward, I think governance has to be a little bit more protective, because we're going to see a large onslaught of maybe lower quality tokens, perhaps asking to get incentives. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
something to be aware of.
that's for sure something the community talks about a lot is we have the APR based on a fixed amount, and so if JUNO tokens just swarm us,
Yeah.
That could affect us negatively.
Yep. Yep. And I know there's also been a lot of discussion about just rethinking how to do incentives as well, how to allocate assign and allocate incentives to different pools. I guess our good friends at SipChain helped raise the discussion by offering to poke holes in the osmosis incentives model by proposing to wash trade to get more Osmo rewards. But yeah, so the fact, but it did help point out an actual legitimate flaw that we were always aware of. It's one of those things similar to zero transaction fees, where we're like, while no one is abusing it, it's nice because it works well until someone starts abusing it. And so the same thing is, currently a lot of the Osmo incentives are based off of volume or really off of swap fees collected by a pool. But roughly that's equivalent to that's proportional to volume for the most part. And so, which sounds great because, it's just like really nice metric where it's like, hey, okay, the pools that are more useful that people are actually trading on, let's give more incentives to those. Unfortunately, of course, that can, be gamed by wash trading. And if you just especially if you're like the biggest LP of a pool, you could just go ahead and wash trade against your own pool. um, you're not going to be paying that much in swap fees because you're going to be the one earning most of the swap fees back. And you can, make it look like there's a lot more volume happening on the pool, and that will basically trigger its, earn your pool a lot more rewards in the next incentive allocations period. And so, now that it's sort of out in the public, I guess, that this is possible, or at least the first public example of someone trying to game this has happened. I think governance needs to start to maybe reconsider how the model that we use for incentives. Yeah, so I think Unity and a couple other folks from the community are thinking up of some new models. So just keep an eye out for those. Let's see what else. Wait. Yeah, I think that's sort of some of the main updates we had. Oh, I guess I think another cool one is that Citadel One has they have their front end for Osmosis up almost. It's in their demo site right now, but but they're going to be live too. So that's going to be exciting and they have a very well designed and very usable front end for Osmosis. So that's really cool that we're going to have another. It's always good for decentralization and just resiliency that there's alternative front ends that you can use with Osmosis. So if there's anything ever wrong with the our front end goes down or something, you can always jump onto Citadel One, or you can also use the Cosmos Station wallet. But if you're on your desktop, the Citadel One will be a good secondary interface as well. Yeah, I think that's it that I have for on updates for this week.
That's cool. The secondary interface is huge. I've really wanted to see that for a while. I'm going to try to invite Daniel up if I can. It seems Eddie has got booted again. One moment.
If you ask them to just request to speak, I can see it and add them up.
Oh, Daniel, Mr. Docs, would you mind requesting to speak, please? Oh, but we have Prakash. Did you have a comment or question?
Yes, hi, Sunny. I'm sure this is Sunny's voice. As far as I can recognize him from the YouTube videos, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm from India, and I closely follow, your project, and I've used multiple dexes over the years, and I totally love Osmosis.zone. I think it is the best dexes available out there. So congratulations on that. And I do a lot of test nets and stuff, and I can clearly kind of estimate, this is the best product out there. My question to you is, How do you kind of go about educating people in terms of branding as to this is not just a DEX but a chain in itself? That's question number one. And how do you see, with the MetaMask integration, how it's going to help Osmosis and post the EVMOS airdrop? A lot of people will learn about Cosmos ecosystem and Atom, and how does that kind of help people you generate more awareness for Osmosis?
Cool. Yeah. So there's a couple of questions. So I think the first one was how do we, sort of educate people that Osmosis is a chain, not just a DEX. So yeah, I think you know, we're working with a lot of folks. A couple, we brought on a couple of full time writers on the team, including Stevie Woof Woof, who's listening. We're working on a lot of like posts and stuff that kind of explains the like sort of long term roadmap and vision of Osmosis. So we have people often ask like, hey, is there a white paper for Osmosis somewhere? And the problem is there actually isn't really. We never really did a white paper of sorts. But what we and then if what we do have is if you go on the Osmosis blog, there's a post called "A Vision for Osmosis" that was we wrote that like as the announcement post for Osmosis a couple of months before it launched. But I think the roadmap has actually changed quite significantly from when that post was originally written. In that post, which was really focused on things like customizable pools and things like that, and we really found out like over time that that maybe wasn't the right approach, and so that's why we kind of like have moved away from the whole customizable pools sort of focus onto other things. But yeah, I think what we really maybe need to do is have some sort of living roadmap. So I know that there's a couple of folks from the community who were thinking about like putting together. I think the support lab was thinking of putting together like some sort of website that acts like a living roadmap that it'll constantly be updated as the roadmap things get shuffled around and reprioritized, or new things get added, or things get chucked out that we realize don't work. So I think like yeah, so I know the support lab is working on like a new website that's sort of a explainer for Osmosis as a whole. So I think hopefully that will help a bunch with this educational material. What was your second question? Yeah. What was your second and third question?
The second and third question was how do you see kind of MetaMask integration impacting the growth of Osmosis and also the EVMOS airdrop, which will bring in the Ethereum people here?
Yeah. So the MetaMask integration that is meant specifically for a specific user flow, which was we wanted to make it easy for users coming from either Ethereum or what. Sorry, I'm outside because where the internet was better, and now there's a garbage truck outside. So the what we wanted was to make it as easy as possible for Ethereum users to come over to Osmosis and start using it. So, and to start using Osmosis, one of the things you have to do as a new user is install Kepler. And we wanted to, if we wanted to lower the barrier of entry, we were saying, well, all these Ethereum users already have this MetaMask thing installed. They already have a private key in there. Is there a way we can let them use that to make transactions on Osmosis? So we actually have a blog post that's going to be coming out kind of soon about this. There'll be actually two blog posts. One about like how what it is and why we did it, and then there'll be a second one that's a little bit more for developers, but it's a sort of a technical explainer of how we did this integration. But yeah, so the what and why is users can come in, they'll be able to start making their first couple transactions, and they'll just be able to sign these transactions using MetaMask. Of course, the user experience for Osmosis from Metamask will not be as good as it would be from something like Kepler. Just because it won't have the staking option, or it won't have, you won't be able to see your balance in MetaMask. You'd have to see it on the Osmosis website. But it's not like we don't expect people to use it as this long-term thing. We expect them to make their first couple transactions on Osmosis, start using the product, see that it's a cool product, and then maybe after a few transactions, be like, hey, you want to upgrade to like the full better user experience? Go ahead and install Kepler. So it's really this sort of like onboarding feature more than anything else.
Thanks a lot. So the last question is, in my perspective, is like, when the EVMOS airdrop happens, because it's based on the gas fee and DeFi applications, I think that's gonna bring a lot of traffic, towards the Cosmos ecosystem. And how do you plan to kind of leverage that kind of, marketing that's gonna happen through the airdrop, for Osmosis?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the big thing would be, we're going to make sure to get the EVMOS token available on Osmosis as soon as it launches, basically. So that way, we can capitalize on that attention and basically be the first market for EVMOS, and so have it be like that's sort of like one main thing. Yeah, I don't think we had too many other like really specific things yet, but that's a good thing. Thanks for bringing it up, and we'll see. Did you have any suggestions of other cool things we could do, like timing with the EVMOS launch, to bring more attention to Osmosis?
Yeah, sure. My suggestion would be, see, I mean, I'm not as technically sound as you, but then when the EVMOS airdrop happens, probably Osmosis could market a pool with very high APR with the EVMOS pair, and kind of have some influencers tweet about it. That could kind of bring a lot of attention to the Osmosis DEX.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that would probably be something that could happen. And the community, the community governance has done this before, where it will sometimes pre-approve pools for like incentives before the pool actually exists and stuff. So I think governance can go ahead and like maybe as the launch actually approaches, but they can like pre-approve that, hey, this EVMOS pool will get token, will get part of reward allocations. That way it could just be a lower, it could just happen much faster rather than having to wait a week before it gets incentives. Cool. Daniel, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and maybe talk a little bit about some of the cool stuff coming down the pipeline? Oh, wait.
I think he might be disconnected, actually.
Let me add him again.
Cool.
Okay, now.
Hi, everyone. This is... Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm trying... Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear us? I think that's the issue there.
Okay, yeah, it looks like there's like a huge delay when I'm talking, but... Okay, I'll go ahead and talk. No, so this is Daniel. Very nice to meet everyone. I've been working with the team for a couple of months, and really excited with some of the progress that we have made. Yeah, and basically, we just recently moved the documentation to a new repository, and we already started to get some pull requests with people contributing there. So very excited about that. The basic idea behind all this, though, is we want to document as much as possible the chain side of things, how everything works, and we did a lot of that already. But one of the next things that we want to start documenting is the actual front-end development. cycle, I would say. So we are working on that really heavily right now, and hopefully within a couple of weeks we'll have a lot of documentation that will help people contribute on the front end side of things. So if you have any questions, or if you would like to contribute on documentation, just please feel make sure to reach out, open up an issue, and we'll be happy to talk to you. I'll stop talking right now because there's like a huge delay for some reason, so the conversation is very strange. But yeah, nice to meet everyone, and thank you for all the support as always.
Thanks, Daniel. Cool. Let's jump over to some more folks for questions. Chloe, you've been up here for a little while. You want to go ahead and ask a question? Or
Hey, yes. Hello. Good
hey.
afternoon to you all. I have two questions. To start with, want to first say thank you to everybody for this space, and also to say thank you to CryptoCito. Good video. Keep it up. Okay, so my question: what can you please explaining a little bit of what is super fluid staking? And two, when is alive? Thank you.
Yeah. So, Superfluid staking. I would recommend going. I give a much deeper explanation on. If you go on YouTube, you can search my talk from Cosmoverse. So you can just search Sunny Superfluid staking. I'm sure it'll show up as the result. So yeah, check out that talk. I will kind of dive deep into it. But the very short TLDR is it's a way of letting you stake. So when you LP in a pool with like Osmo and let's say EVMOS, right? You went into a pool with those two tokens. It allows you to double dip and use the Osmo that you LP'd to also be staking at the same time. So that way, helps like with the security of the chain, and it also will help you earn. It'll earn more rewards basically because from the same Osmo you can be earning both liquidity rewards and staking rewards at the same time. So that's sort of the TLDR of it. For more info, you can check out that talk. And then when will it be live? Target is still the end of this month. But life comes in the way sometimes, such as COVID. So we'll see. But that the target is still definitely within the next couple of weeks, even if it overflows by a day or two.
Thank you very much. Can you give some alpha? I staked both osmosis. I see somebody's laughing, and atom. So I would love to for you to say, is it a good idea to keep staking, or is it better just to keep staking when we know you have airdrops coming?
So I mean, when it comes to like things like airdrops, we don't choose who people airdrop to. Although we heavily encourage that like new projects that are launching, they also consider airdropping to LPs as well, because oftentimes projects will airdrop to, let's say, stakers of a token, but I think the LPs of tokens are also just as important or important in different ways, and so I hope more projects will start airdropping to LPs, and some have already done it, and we've actually written a bunch of scripts that make it very easy for people to get the data of LP data, and you can say like, hey, I want all a list of everyone on Osmosis with I don't know, any token on it, and it'll give you it both like people's balances, but also what is their LP position as well. So, yeah, that's sort of what I think airdrops that's sort of like where airdrops are going to be going.
Beautiful, thank you.
Lazuli.JUNO.
Yes, I'm wondering what the CosmWasm smart contract functionalities would look like for Osmosis. For example, futures and options, would that be directly on the same Osmosis swap page, or would it be a separate page? And who would be making those modules?
Yeah, so with CosmWasm, there's people going to be able to, there's going to be like a permissions process where governance can approve the deployment of new contracts. So you're going to have like teams that basically, it's going to have to be like very sort of value aligned teams with the Osmosis project, people who are building like complementary pieces of software, such as, maybe a yield aggregator over different pools, or, maybe an ETF over that like uses the Osmosis AMMs. When it comes to what kind of, different financial assets, I think that's something that like can go either way, whether that needs to be on the same Osmosis chain or it could be on a separate chain, and then those assets get IBC'd over. So, if it's a financial contract that makes like very heavy use of the Osmosis AMMs, and it would benefit from being co-located with the AMMs, then I think it can go onto the Osmosis chain. Otherwise, maybe it can more easily just go on to a different chain and just be IBC'd over. Because, keep in mind, we're trying to keep the Osmosis chain still, as light as possible. Even once we add CosmWasm, we don't want it to get loaded with, thousands of, we'd rather have 20 good apps than 2,000 kind of meh apps. And so, so where will they be shown? I guess this is part of, we need to have, we have this like whole asset list system in Osmosis, but and that allows like, it needs to become more like the token list system on Ethereum. So in token lists, so if you ever go on Uniswap, you can sort of like choose whose token list to use. So what that means is you can, so Uniswap by default has their own token list, which has like about maybe 50 or so assets. But you can say, hey, I want to use the token list provided by DeFi Pulse, and it will have like a different list of tokens with their metadata. Or you can say, I want to use the token list provided by CoinGecko. That will have like a different list of tokens, and so you can choose like depending on which list you choose, it'll show like it will display different assets on the front end. And I think that's sort of, we need to go build something similar to that. So, and that way, we can imagine then something like, a options protocol could have a token list that just shows all of their option tokens, right? So that, maybe we don't want to clutter the default asset list with like hundreds of O tokens, just because, but the asset list that you can import from this options protocol, that will support it. So currently the way to do it is you have to like spin up a new front end, and actually there are some people working on that. So I saw that from the Bitsong team. Bitsong is, they sort of build these like creator tokens for musicians. I saw that they actually have like an alternative front end for Osmosis that basically just shows it's focused on displaying the creator tokens. So I think that's like sort of really cool, and that's sort of probably the right way to do it for now. But the goal is to get like something where like you on from a single front end, users can pick and choose which token lists they want. I hope that helped. Let's see. Oh, let me add more. Oh, sorry. I actually have to jump off right now, but maybe I can. Yeah, I actually have to jump off right now. If someone else wants to answer a couple questions, I don't know, maybe Jacob.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Nice one.
NTG,
Hey,
if you want
Jacob.
to answer the last question. ask last question, and then we can end the space.
Yeah, I got a quick question for you, Jacob.
Okay. What is it, sir?
This new Epoch module where we're going to have to manually claim rewards. What ways, or like, what is the reason why we would switch over to manual, and how does that help speed up Epoch?
Okay. So the reason for that is that all the transactions are not going to occur at once. Right now, there's in Osmosis a SDK called send from module to many. Okay. And what that's doing is it's, distributing the new flow of Osmo on a daily basis to all of the accounts at the same time. But when users actually need to make that claim, well, they won't be making that claim at the exact same time all at once every single day. And so, yeah, that'll definitely, I think, most likely eliminate the APOC lag.
And then that's also in addition to all these disk drives you're updating and the software and everything.
Yeah, so all right, the disk drives, the software, and really just like a whole layer of performance tweaks are not Osmosis APOC centric. The way that all began was that, we're relaying. And in order to run the relay network, what we've done at Notional is we have spun up an ever increasing number of nodes. To the point that if I had to guess, I bet we have 100 Cosmos SDK, blockchain node instances running on, I think, a dozen physical machines. And that process is sensitive to the same types of optimizations that APOC is. That's actually how we figured out, how to make it shorter.
Hey, I don't know if you can hear me, but we lost you, Jacob.
Oh no! I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yeah.
But all right, I'll just sort of I'll go back about 30 seconds and say that basically so at Notional we have around 12 computers that each of these dozen computers has many Cosmos SDK based blockchain nodes on them. And you run the node and the relayer on the same equipment, right? And what we noticed was that, the faster the hard drive was, for example, the better and more smoothly that it would relay. And then, where it kind of got interesting, was when monitoring logs at APOC time, we started to notice that the relay machines were coming up, just dramatically faster than our non-optimized validator. And so we began to optimize the validator as well.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.